And good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday afternoon. It is August 10th, making sure I got the correct date. I'm Ian Rollins, along with the co-host, Mr. Al Basin to my right, and Don Bassett control straight ahead. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rollins.
His name is Mr. Rollins. It's good about the script, right?
Yes, sir.
What script?
Hey, right here, man. Now, folks, if you can only see the script, say Mr. Rollins.
That's right.
Hey,
And we do is what to.
right, go by script. Go by script. Everything is scripted, right? Right. Okay.
And you expect the listeners to believe that?
Well, listen, I'm gonna put it on. What's it? Snapchat? What do they call it? Instagram.
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok,
Oh,
all of that and above, right?
I'm gonna scan it and put it on.
Please do, because it's not there.
It's not there?
It doesn't even say that. All right.
It's just kidding. It's not.
No,
That's
no,
just
no.
respect.
Just respect.
That's
Okay.
what it is.
All right, Mr. Bassett and Mr. Basin, respect.
No comment.
Thank you.
I'm
All
following the script.
Sticking to it. Hey.
Sticking to it. Well, just give listening audience a lineup for today. We will have Mr. Oscar Andre of the Bermuda Referees Association be joining us. Umpires, I'm saying referees, excuse me. Umpires Association joining us today at 1:30. And Mr. Caden Hopkins, the young gentleman, he's just tearing up the roads in cycling. We had a pre-recorded interview with him last week for today's show because of his work schedule. He's unable to attend today on the live show, so he's been pre-recorded and we talked to him. And of course, we have Mr. Dave Wolf give us an update on Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. We did a class with him yesterday and did a class with him today. I think by this evening, 8 o'clock, I'll be asleep.
You keep getting back, so.
I guess I like punishment. Well,
but you're reaping the rewards. So
it's good work. It's good hard work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call him every name on the book. Into his face too. Not just on the book. Just make sure that's clear. But anyway, with that said, we'll open up our lines today. Give us a call at 292-9595. I bumped into a few of your friends, Earl, St. George's fans, who said, Ian, stop giving Earl a hard time.
I want to know how you're giving me a hard time.
Thank you. That's what I said. So, Fred, you heard him. I'm not giving him a hard time. I'll just leave it at that. Fred?
Me dealing with you some of the people's easy, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's brunch on Sunday.
That's what I was saying, But, that's to their defense. Ian, stop giving my friend Earl a hard time. He bleeds blue and blue.
Doubt.
Without a doubt. The blood is
like blue and dark blue.
like blue and dark blue. Okay.
Quite a few St. George people have to go to the hospital to give blood, to donate blood, because it's a special breed of blood that goes down there. See,
and who they donating their special breed of blood to?
Friends of the
St. George's community.
Thank you very much. And we're in abundance.
In abundance.
Yeah. See, you lot have that O negative and A positive, and that's nah. We have light blue and dark blue.
That's it.
That it.
I need some special people down there. Then. Light blue and dark blue.
That's right.
I need to speak to former President P.B. Weir about that.
P.B. Fogel?
P.B. Fogel, I'm sorry. P.B. Fogel.
He'll tell you the exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
He'll
tell you the exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll speak to him.
Yeah.
See what he says. Someone's saying, yeah, it should be, huh? Okay, someone's about to happen. I don't know. It's all good. But look, the latest story on the international side, before we go back on the local front stories you covered this weekend, just to give people an update on the Premier League transfer. The big story was that Borussia Dortmund was to sell Jadon Sancho to Man United today, and the deadline has come and gone. Just give us an update on that, that we saw on Sky Sports and
right.
BBC.
We did because it said Sancho is staying. And that's that. Obviously, the deal for United wanting him and the cost of it, I guess, for some reason, it all broke down.
Yeah.
And they gave him a deadline. That deadline is now passed. And Borussia Dortmund have stated, that's it.
That's it. you got to be understandable too. It's COVID-19. You don't want to put out all that money,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
he's still a young man. He's only 20 years old, so something could happen next year for Man United or any
True.
other club.
Or any other club.
You know.
Even Liverpool.
Oh yeah, well you're the defending champion. Yeah, it's a possibility. Anything can happen, right?
Let's put it like this: if that young fella ends up in the light blue and dark blue of Liverpool next year, because they have a light blue and dark blue strip, don't they?
No, not the new ones.
Not the new ones. Well, too bad. Then he ain't getting it. He ain't getting it.
But if they did have a strip, what happened?
Yeah, well, he might go there. He might go there, man. Come on, man.
It's a Man City College you're talking about.
Well, you know, everybody's got a little light blue and dark blue strip, you know. Chelsea's got one this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have one this year either.
You better get on board. Your boats can start sinking soon. Give us that red. Keep giving that red. I asked, and my good friend, he's probably smart enough because he knows I'm going to bring it up. Dennis Braun. That's right. Dennis and his Brazilian football school. You know what colors they have? And I used to tell him all the time, welcome home, brother. Welcome home. Welcome home. I know deep down, that's your team. That's where you want to be. Welcome home.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He said Cal picked up the colors.
We got a call on the line. Someone's feeling sorry for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Yes, it is.
United, man.
What? Why? Well, it's news. I mean, we're sharing the information. What's happening? Are you a Man United fan?
You sound like you couldn't contain your excitement.
No, Ian couldn't.
No. I'm just putting out the news that was there. I think I know who this is very well. Man United, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. How you doing?
I'm fine. I am fine. All is well with you, sir?
I just want you to know we'll be flying before we approach Chancho, right?
I understood.
And, again, I want to congratulate. I don't think I congratulated you on Earth, but I know I'm going to have to do it for another 30 years, so I didn't know.
That's a good one. Thank you very much. You know who that is?
And the boy blue in that room there.
That's right. Right.
That's cool. You know why? Because Liverpool, we never walk alone.
I said blue and blue. I didn't talk about football. Anyway, have a good day.
I gotta come with something on you, mate. Have a good day, sir. That's our good friend.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, I'll give him a call on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you know who it is?
Yeah, I knew it was.
I'll give him a call on Thursday.
Interrupt his program?
Well, he's saying as if I was happy that Man United didn't receive Sancho. I'm not
no,
like that.
I heard a little bit of excitement in your voice, Mr.
No, not at all. Mr. Bates, you're just as bad as him. Oh my God. I can't believe that.
You know you Liverpoolians that. Anything against Manchester United, you are excited about.
Mr. Bates, when it comes to transfers, it's nothing that you can do. You know that.
That's true.
Right. So I don't get into that. Oh, wow, he and there's that. No. If my club didn't bid for it, fair enough. I don't. Yes, because now it's open for next year. But the mere fact is that I'm not that type of person because Man United or this club didn't get that person. They're trying to bid. I'm not like that. You know that.
Okay. I mean,
the game's decided on the field. You
but
know that,
so true.
All right. That's what I'm saying. I don't get into that type of stuff. That's not. I like to joke.
Yes.
But I don't do that type of stuff. Okay. Still in sports.
Folks, when we go to commercial break, we will have a picture of Mr. Rollins celebrating the fact that
oh my God.
did not get their man. But go on, because you're going to go to college football, are you?
I was going to college football until you said that, right? I am not going to do that at all. I'm just going to wink my eye. How's that? You like that? Yeah, man. Boy. Yeah, man. You and I had discussed within the last month or so, we were talking about the COVID-19 and how it's impacting baseball and basketball. How basketball has it in the bubble. Baseball is going through the transition now. Now they've changed the games from 9 innings to 7 innings,
Yes.
and the roster was 30, now it's down to 28, and so
Now,
forth, right?
They had the one thing they didn't want to have. They had it yesterday, which was the fight.
Oh, that was bench playing ball in the 7th inning,
Yeah,
the last inning of the game,
Yeah.
right? But you knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah, it had been brewing up.
Yeah.
You know, when even watching the highlights, they started out the highlights by saying this what took place previous, and then you just saw it kept rolling and rolling and rolling, and then
You saw it coming.
yeah, they were all treated to cake afterwards, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
It was cake and ice
it
cream.
was a come together, a
was.
coming together.
Kumbaya,
Yeah.
right? And with mask on.
Oh, I don't know who had it. Well, some
Well,
guys
when
had
they
a
had the cake,
mask.
when they had the cake and ice cream.
Because we weren't doing any bro.
Oh no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Actually, I think one guy threw his mask off, so let's get it on. But fair enough. The fact that we were getting at is that we talked about that and that how it will impact college football, right?
Mhm.
And yes, the black colleges down south were already calling off, like Morehouse colleges
Right.
and Division III schools like that were saying
Right.
there's going to be no college football this fall.
Mhm.
The big story came out earlier this morning that now they're saying there may not be no college football
And they're expecting an announcement this week.
this week.
That's how soon it will be made. They're probably just working on logistics right now on how and when scholarships will be utilized. The biggest problem with all of this right now is anybody in the last year of school, what do you do for this off season to be prepared to go into the NFL draft to be ready and selected
Good
for
question.
next year?
And the word is that they may have spring football because they're already like saying there will
Right.
be no college football. We're not
Right.
saying it's not, but
Yeah.
chances are there may not be no
Right.
college football. They're saying that they can move to the spring and see what happens from there. But if it's still a problem
Right.
next spring,
Yeah.
it goes back to your question again.
Yeah.
How do you draft?
Yeah.
What happens? And that's true.
Yeah. Well, we've already heard from the number one pick was on ESPN yesterday, you know, voicing his concern that there are some players that want to play. Obviously, those decisions will be made by the hierarchies and the colleges themselves. What's in the best interest of the health and safety of the players, as well as the organization? Because remember, it's not just the players. You're talking about officials. You're talking about security. You're talking about testers. It's a
Everything.
whole host of, you know, and we had that conversation before where we were saying that, you know, we got a report that in order to have one Premier Division game for the entire week, it costs clubs close to £5 million.
Wow.
Because you're talking about all the pre-testing during training, all the facilities have got to be cleaned and all that. So that's
additional
hiring people.
procedures that are put
Yeah.
in
So
place,
all of that,
cost.
right? All of that, all those measures go into, and then on top of that, you still got to pay the player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So salary, game, all of that, it's costing you money.
Money.
Yeah.
And people also have to understand the difference of college football and pro. College football, you're not paying these college players.
Mhm.
But the mere fact that they're saying that colleges may not be open, so how can you have fall football and we can house the players?
Yeah.
How are you going to house them if you're not going to have
If
college?
the campuses are closed,
closed
how
in the fall?
yeah,
How are
yeah.
you going to house the players?
Yeah.
Right?
Are you just opening to football, and then you're gonna have a problem because don't you have other sports such as hockey, swimming,
So
tennis? So you're just worrying about football because they make you the money now. It could come down. The faculty can say, yeah, they make us money.
But those who they know right now they've lost money because this late in the stage.
Right.
That's why the commissioners, the various commissioners,
Right.
are getting together. 5 presidents,
Mm-hmm.
5 presidents slash commissioners
Right.
are getting together to make their decision. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's no college football. NFL is already saying, right?
Right.
It came out again this morning that they're looking to play NFL games
Mm-hmm.
Saturday nights, Friday nights.
Right.
Why? No one comes to the game, but they know from a network viewership the money.
That's where they yeah.
Right?
Well, they already have Sunday night. They started the venture of Thursday nights.
Monday
So
nights.
yeah, they had Monday nights. Monday night was always a big success for them. You turn around and you add in a Thursday and a regular Thursday and a Friday as well as a Saturday night. You're basically opening yourself up to make more money because the demand will be there, and especially if some of those games are really good matchups. When I say good matchups, meaning the two cities.
Yeah.
You know, if on a night where obviously not now, but back in the day when the Giants were playing the Cowboys or the Giants were playing San Francisco, you know, the Washington's playing Philly and those type of things, a lot of people will watch. Some of those games have been deflated of such with the teams the way they play now, but still big games. So I mean, it'll be interesting if it's a Thursday night and you got, you know, a couple of rivalries going on. You know, should be good.
That's for sure. Let's take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we will speak to Mr. Oscar Andre, the Bermuda Umpires Association. We'll be back. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. On the phone with the trade now is Mr. Oscar Andre. He's the president of Bermuda Umpires Association. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, listeners.
How are you doing on this lovely Monday afternoon?
Very, very nice. Sitting inside in some air conditioning after 2 days of taking the heat.
I'm sure that's been a lot of heat since you brought it up. We want to get right to it. Cricket's been interesting for you this year. You're definitely, from an umpire's perspective, it's very different because of COVID-19, the pandemic, and so forth. What's it been like for you guys to just do T20? How you guys been able to put things together in a short span of time and be there every weekend now?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting setup, as you said. There was a lot of conversations that went on with the Bermuda Cricket Board and us in terms of protocols around the games and trying to make it as safe as possible for everybody that's taking part in the games themselves. There's hand sanitizers floating around on the tables. There's people there from the board that are kind of keeping an eye on things to do with players and health checks. We've struggled a little bit for numbers this year because some of our members, for health reasons, have decided that they wouldn't umpire this season. But in general, I think we've managed to cover all of the games. We've had to double up a couple of days with umpires doing more than one game the same day, which we were originally trying to avoid. But so far, we've had 29 games that have actually taken place, and those have been covered by 10 umpires in total.
So the work is definitely cut out for you guys. And of course, Bermuda, we're happy that cricket's back up and running. But guys like you and the other 9 umpires don't get the credit for putting yourselves out there for 2 days, going through the protocols and things of that sort. 4 or 5 months ago or 6 months ago, this wasn't even talked of. We was obviously talking about what's going to happen for cricket going forward. This is in place, meaning COVID-19, and the protocols are in place for Bermuda and the rest of the world. What's it been like as you guys obviously get together and you guys go over your game plan after the game, have your postmortem and things that sort? What's it been like as an umpire for you this year?
Yeah, again, we still haven't managed to meet on Tuesday nights. We usually meet every Tuesday night during the season, for sure. Most of those have been on Zoom, where we've had a couple of face-to-face meetings in one of the larger church halls, and we kind of review what goes on. Like the very first week, there was something that we pointed out to the board that
good. The players in general have been behaving. I think for some of the clubs, the way that the games have been set up with us only using, a couple of fields basically on a Sunday and one field on a Saturday. For some of the clubs, there's quite a few fans now sitting around the grounds. I think the very first weekend, the cricket board actually turned people away that were trying to get into the ground because they were given a limit by the health department of how many people they were allowed in. And once they hit that, that was the end of that.
Overall, though, the season's been good for you. It's been an experience again. You've got the season, I think, up until the end of September. You came in like in the middle of our summer, meaning July and August. It's kind of like our hot summer. So getting accustomed to the weather wasn't an easy task for the umpires.
Yeah, again, usually we sort of start thinking about playing some games towards the end of April and certainly through the month of May normally. And we kind of build up to the heat, if you will. We sort of get acclimatized to being out there. And this was very different for some of the guys because they hadn't been outside very much up until the start of the season. First, I guess second weekend of July was the first game. And certainly, maybe not that weekend, but the following weekend, it was certainly blazing hot outside. And it does take its own care. Last weekend, I ended up doing the doubleheader at Somerset. And happened to check my weight in the morning before I left the house. And when I got back here that night, it was a 4-pound differential. So it's you do lose a lot of water out there. And with the T20, there's no water breaks during the game. So basically, you drink some water before you go out for the first inning, drink some water when you come back in between the innings, and then drink some more water at the end of the second inning. And in my case, and a lot of the umpires' cases, where we've been doing double headers, basically 5-10 minutes off the field, and then you're trying to deal with the toss for the next game and the start of the next game.
Oscar, the cricket board have been trying to make improvements with players and playing conditions. You being one of the ICC umpires from Bermuda, has there been any talk about match referees in regular matches, and if not, will that conversation be had sometime before the end of the season or looking forward to next season?
The conversation about match referees has gone on for years. It's not anything new. One of the issues that the cricket board have found is that they struggle to find folks that are willing to sit for the duration of an entire match. The T20 perhaps is a little bit easier to maybe broach, but once we start getting to 50-over games or open cricket games, you're talking about being out of grounds for 8 to 9 hours, and there's I think not a whole lot of interest out there of folks that are willing to do that, and then B, obviously any kind of remuneration. At what point does that remuneration become valuable to a person that's spending the entire day there, especially if they're not a cricket lover? In Bermuda, we have fans that like to follow certain clubs as well. Obviously, from a match manager, match referee point of view, it would be ideal that that person is neutral. It's an interesting conversation in Bermuda, and it's something that we've been talking about and trying to figure out how to do, but it hasn't quite happened yet. Outside of the larger matches of the year, the cup matches in the Eastern Counties.
I only ask that because I know that you guys have been talking about it, but no one's really put it out to the public to see what type of feedback they got. We do a lot of talking in the boardroom amongst ourselves, but we don't actually get feedback from the general public. Maybe if the board was to go in that route, just to see what interest they get, and then take it from there, would you guys support something of that nature?
Of course. And I think perhaps that is an option, but bear in mind that what the first line of approach has been the board through the member clubs. So the board goes to the member clubs and discusses with the clubs, like, are any of your members interested in doing this, learning how to do this? And that's the first point of interest, I guess, is there you've got someone that is related to a club, hopefully follows cricket, knows something about the game, and is there any interest there? And so far, I think that's just not really borne any kind of fruit. From an umpiring point of view, again, we've tried that to attract be able to umpire through the clubs, and we have put things in the media, either directly or through the cricket board, broaching that with the media, and again, we just don't seem to get a whole lot of interest. We had actually started an umpires course in end of January, beginning of February, just before all the lockdown started. So we were literally 1 week into the course where we had to stop it. We had 3 people, I think, the first week attend. One of those did continue to sort of go through the laws and regs and things on his own. And he actually passed the Bermuda Cricket Umpires Association exam 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and did his first game yesterday. It was very nice to see. We got a new member.
You mentioned earlier that some of your colleagues opted out this year because of obviously COVID-19. So it's been a strain on or extra work given to you guys this year. Fortunate that it's been T20 games though, correct?
Right. As I said, and we've been trying to not do double headers, so as to kind of try and make that a little bit later on everybody. But obviously, given the lower number of available umpires that we have at this point, you know, we still are having to double up for some guys are doing 2 games in a day, and then doing another game the following day. So you know, they're getting 3 games, and I don't think anyone's done 2 on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday yet, but I could be wrong. That may have happened already to somebody. I'm not quite sure. We got a few more guys that are probably going to come out. Some of them took a wait and see view of see how this goes, and they may come out. Some of the folks, obviously, we have police officers and folks who work ships and things. One of our members left the island last year. He's gone back to his homeland of Barbados, and obviously with the travel restrictions, he hasn't been back this way through the summer yet. So I don't know. We may end up with more than 10 guys rotating by the end of this month, but at this point, it looks like we have about 10 folks trying to cover all these games. It's T20 and it's a shorter season. I think from the schedule, it's around 60 games in total. So we're about halfway through. And it's been going okay. The good news is that we don't have umpires taking vacations. So everybody's pretty much on the island.
Oscar, what are some of the fun things that goes on for umpires in a match? Because a lot of people hear all the negative stuff, but for you as an umpire, what are some of the fun things that goes on that keeps you coming up?
I think in general, the rapport with the players is actually quite good. It's the usual bargy that tends to happen when there's a decision that may not go the way that they think it should go. That tends to be the confrontation stuff. In general, you know, the rapport between players and umpires is good. We have a lot of fun with the players. There's good banter that goes backwards and forwards. Things that happen during matches with either crazy outs or crazy events, and you have a good chuckle at the time, and after the game, sit down and sometimes talk to some of these guys. And now we're starting to see a little bit of video coming from these games from the cricket board actually having streamed video for some of the matches, and of course that gives us the opportunity to actually see some things that we may not have picked up during the game, and that's good from our point of view, from a training point of view for our umpires, and it's also good for the players that they can occasionally get to see, you know, something where they're adamant that plan A happened and plan B actually happened. So it's been good.
Oscar, you've been an umpire for quite some time. You've been a referee prior to umpiring. What is the love that you put back into the sport as an official?
Well, I think it's important for folks that either played the sport in Bermuda or love the sport in Bermuda to try and hang around and give back so that the game keeps going on. You know, we've seen dwindling numbers of officials in both sports. And the age increase, I think, in general, of both sets of referees. I can't speak to the PFA anymore because, as you know, I've been out of that for probably 6 years now, I guess. But I've been doing the cricket for 13, and slowly, you know, it's the same crop of guys. Once in a while, you get a new guy come out. You know, I could rattle off names in the last sort of few years, but it would be good to see the sport get more involved back in the school system. You know, I think it's kind of died off in the secondary schools in particular, where there doesn't seem to be much interest in playing cricket through the season. And I get it; it takes longer than some sports. There's competition for players' interest now for other sports. You know, attraction of scholarships and things for North America, especially with basketball and volleyball and things like that that have crept into the school curriculum over the years. Where I think when I was in school, those things were around and we played them, you know, for fun, but they weren't taken seriously in terms of inter-school competitions, certainly until probably my last couple of years. And now those sports are doing quite well, and cricket seems to have died off. Many years I actually played for the old boys. That's all this against school, and you know I've probably been doing that since I was in my 20s, and I'm in my late 50s now, so over 30 years. And you can see the difference in the cricket when you go to the school. When I first played for the senior team against the old boys, the team was Wendell Smith, Alan Richardson, Barry DeCuto behind the stumps, Goofy Lambert going at you, Terrence Smith, who was quick with spinner in those days. The old boys team was incredible, but the school team wasn't bad either. Right? We had guys that were knocking around cup match and looking to get places in either one of the clubs for cup match, and they were playing senior cricket already. Now if you go into the schools, I think those are few and far between. And you can tell when you see, the amount of or lack of junior cricket being played. Pretty much Eastern Counties junior cricket, and the BCB younger league. There's no real cricket going on in the schools, so I can tell.
And you're right about that. Earl and I have been talking about that. And each year, we bring it up at least 4 or 5 times how sports has dwindled in our schools because of the way the system is now, middle school and into senior schools. And yeah, cricket, football, track and field, swimming, you name it, has died off because of that.
The number of secondary schools in particular, because that's shrunk so much as well. That, obviously when I was playing cricket, rugby, football, and they go after soldiers way back when, you had, the Robert Crawfords, Warwick Sec had a team. Every parish secondary school had teams. So there was a much better opportunity to play games with other folks. Now you're restricted to private schools and the government secondary system, of which there's only a couple of schools, and that has shrunk the numbers. Never mind anything else. No, the number of teams has gone down. Possible teams even.
Well,
I had conversations with PE teachers at the schools and tried to get this going again. And from an umpiring point of view, we've offered to try and do something with them, with their curriculum, to try and do an umpiring course if anybody's interested. We're quite willing to try anything, pretty much. There was some discussion with the cricket board this year about perhaps taking an umpire's course as sort of part of their cricket education, etc. But again, the lockdown happened and different things went on, and it just seemed that kind of fell by the by. But I'm hoping that comes back up again as an option for next year.
Well, credit must be given to the Bermuda umpires and for you guys putting in the sacrifice each year. Down to 10 usually. I guess it's about 16, 17 of you, and even the females usually out there in the middle each summer. But credit for right now for all of you, because it's not an easy task, but you're going up against each Saturday and Sunday, and some of you doing double headers. Is there any final comments you'd like to add that we did not ask?
No, I just hope that the rest of the season continues. That as long as the situation with the COVID-19 management stays the same as it is, I think we can keep these games going. Hopefully, we get to the end of the season in the league. Football is obviously in the middle of trying to work out its requirements as well. I think from what I read this week. So hopefully, we get soccer going. I think it's very important for the younger members of Bermuda in particular to have an outlet on the weekend. weekends or weeknights, be able to get out of the house and burn some energy. And cricket certainly is a good way of doing that. So is soccer, so are the other sports. As you know, I'm quite the avid 10th and bowler, and we're now trying to figure out how that's going to work, if we can get our leagues back up in September. And I'm hoping that somehow comes off.
Well, we wish you all the best in bowling, football, cricket, you name it. You're involved in it. No,
Much as I used to be in some of the sports, but yeah.
understood. Well, thanks very much for joining us today on Inside Sports Talk Radio, Oscar. Keep up the good work with your team, and all the best. I think the season comes in September. And again, kudos for the fine work you guys are doing every Saturday and Sunday to keep our cricket alive and wild in the T20.
Thank you much, Jen. Have a great afternoon and a great week.
Thank you. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be back after this. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Again, I want to thank Oscar Andre. Credit to his team of 10 umpires putting in that long hours of umpiring over the weekend. Some of them doing double headers Saturdays or Sundays. And obviously, due to COVID-19, some of them have opted out not to be in the middle, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
But the protocols they put in place and things that they have to do, it's not an easy task.
Yeah. One of the things that a lot of people don't appreciate is that they have to be on every bowl.
I know.
Even the square leg umpire, every single bowl, and some of the abuse that they get is sometimes unwarranted.
Yeah.
Because I notice a lot of people don't have the same things to say about their players if they make a mistake. But and it's umpires and referees that you see taking the full brunt of it. I'm out because
They don't play on
you made the decision, or you know, he's not out because you made the bad decision. When sometimes you need consistency.
Yeah.
You know?
He also made a good point about the water breaks. Obviously, we know there's no water breaks in T20, but about having water for a period of time, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And hopefully, can they take some bottles out there to them or something? Because you don't want to be passing out, and some of them doing double headers.
Yeah. It's a cricket. Everybody knows cricket is a long game. It's I don't care if it's 2020 or not. It's an hour and 45 minutes for one inning. So you're out there 10 minutes or 5 minutes before the start. You're out there close to 2 hours each session. So when you start looking at it, it's a tool on your body.
Yeah. That's not easy. Again, credit to this guys. Keep up the good work. Moving along now is Mr. Caden Hopkins, as we mentioned in the intro of the show, that this is a pre-recorded interview we have with him. Him and his team did an outstanding job. His teammates this weekend? I forgot their names.
Connor White and Dominic Mayo.
Dominic Mayo. They dominated in the team trials, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, those three were expected to win anytime they team up together. They were part of a team with a group of guys from Puerto Rico doing a stage race end of last year. Unfortunately, Connor crashed the first day, so he was out. But Dominique and Caden were able to finish. Caden won the under 23 division of that. for the region. So if those three are teaming up, there's
No way.
well, I mean, three people in a car maybe still a chance, but but those three were going to dominate the race from start to finish. Now, the interesting part will be obviously this weekend is the individual time trials. So obviously, Kid has had the upper hand already this year, winning most of the races. So Connor's getting stronger. Dominique is now back on island. He had some time in Arizona where his girlfriend Caitlin Conyers was taking up doing cycling full time, with a team over in Arizona, and unfortunately through the pandemic they returned back home. But hopefully, he's got his legs under him now, so it should be a very interesting Sunday morning down Clearwater next week.
Yeah. Caden's in a class by himself right now, mate.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a two-time winner of the Sinclair Packard Memorial Race. So he right now, well, he's missing out on that extra opportunity of cycling at his school. Obviously, that's not happening right now. So he's doing a lot of training in Bermuda. The difference is he has a group of people of his caliber that can actually push him.
Actually push each other and
right.
work together in training. Got you.
And the workouts and all. We were talking earlier about the issue when Dominique was kind of dominating.
Yeah. He's by himself somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, he stood head and shoulders above a lot of others where, he had to self-motivate at times. But Caden's got the upper hand of having somebody like Connor White, who was cycling in a team in Canada. Again, Dominique and these guys were, they're able to push each other in regular training. So when you have that type of thing, it kind of makes you even stronger and harder and faster. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, we said we had an opportunity to interview him. That was a pre-recorded interview. We spoke with him last week Friday. So sit back, listen to what he has to say. During the interview, he does discuss that he will not be going back to school in September because of COVID-19. They take the semester off and reevaluate for January. If all things are better in the North American meaning school, health-wise, he will return to school. So let's see what he has to say.
Good afternoon. How are you? I'm good. Reason I asked to do another interview with you because one, you're back home, but I hear you're tearing up the road. Beating people by 2 and 3 minutes. What's the season been like for you thus far? Well, it's been good. I mean, obviously, it's kind of been pushed around and mixed up. So, like right now, we're not really too sure of like when events are going to be, what it's going to be on. So I'm kind of just taking them as they come. Sort of, the beginning of my season was going well. Like before the real COVID situation really blew up. I went to that race in Dominican Republic. I don't know if you remember. It's called the Vuelta Independencia. Right. Yeah, that was good. I was really happy with the form I was in there because it was such early season. And I mean, I was only hoping to build on that. I had a lot more races in the U.S. planned that were coming up, and they kind of they all got canceled essentially. Right. And then since then, it kind of just switched back to, instead of preparing for races, it was really just getting back to the training side of it, and just trying to like keep what I had and just build a bigger base so that when it came back to where I am now, where competition is starting to ramp up again. Right. Now I can get back into the intervals and get back into the more like race specific training.
The hard part for an athlete, and this is across the board for any athlete in any sport, is when you go through something like the pandemic, when you're used to being at a conditioning this high, and then you like drop off, you have to get yourself back into shape. So getting yourself back into shape to where you are now, was that a hard task?
Well, honestly, for me, it wasn't. I know there was a lot of people where, as soon as the pandemic got announced, like a lot of my friends that I have in the U.S. and stuff like that, when they found out they weren't going to be racing, they sort of really just backed off the training. But I just kept mine up because even though I was in the best form I had ever been in, I was still nowhere near where I wanted to be. And I'm still nowhere near where I want to be. I feel like as an athlete, you always need to be striving
to be better than you are. You know, you shouldn't really settle for anything.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't really back off the training at all. I kind of just kept it on, just backed off the intensity side of things. So now it's more just like starting to sharpen up again. Like I have the base in my legs. I know I have the time on the bike that I need. So now it's just getting those more intense intervals in for when racing actually properly resumes.
Okay. With that said, now you're back home. You're putting things back into place. What's the season been like for you at home now?
Well, I mean, it's really just starting. Like
Right.
we've only had a couple of time trials, but they've gone really well. And we have the national championships. Well, we have a team time trial this weekend. So I'm on a team with Dominic Mayo and Connor White. So that'll be kind of similar aspect of time trialing. So it's against the clock, but there's 3 of you. So it's just as fast as you can possibly cover the course. And then after that, we have the 2 next weekends coming up. We have our national championships. So we have the time trial and the road race.
Is that added pressure for you?
It is. I like it's a national championship title is something that is always gonna look good, like overseas, because right now I'm trying to get on teams overseas, like just trying to either a U.S. team or not really like sure right now, just trying to like find my next path to jump onto,
Right.
and a national championships will always look good to those teams. But yeah, national championships are always a lot of pressure.
Right. The advantage being home is how Bermuda, as the government, is controlling our COVID-19, the pandemic, and putting out the procedures in place, putting out the health procedures, and people are following that. Has that helped you to put you in a place where you are now with your cycling, meaning conditioning and running the races and keeping you on par for your cycling?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, luckily I missed the big not lockdown, but like the 24-hour curfew thing.
Right.
I missed that. I was still in the US at that point. So I was able to train over there. But I mean, coming back and being able to train with other people and like being able to be in groups because of how well we've dealt with the pandemic, it definitely is a help because training alone it's something I do a lot, but training alone 100% of the time is not easy, you know, like you sort of just need that mental break to be able to be with other people and like have other people motivate you as well. And I know if I were in the US right now, I wouldn't be trying to be around other people. So I mean, yeah, being home and having our little island in such a good place with the whole pandemic, yeah, it's definitely gonna help.
That's good. What's your training consist of Monday through the race day and the weekend?
Well, earlier, so now that I'm sort of getting back into the interval side of things, I'm taking more rest days to sort of like recover from those like that high intensity stuff. A couple weeks ago, it was just riding 6 to 7 days a week, and then trying to be in the gym 2 to 3 days a week, doing core stuff, plyometric stuff, just like general strength, like all body strength, and then yeah, just 6-7 days on the bike.
And putting in 3-4 hours a day.
Trying to, yeah. When I was in like the peak, I guess you would call it, of my base season, I was trying to do like 22 to 25-hour weeks every week on the bike alone, and then another 2 to 3 in the gym. And that's sort of dropped off of it now, so now I'm more around like the 17 to 20 hours a week. And then when competition actually properly resumes again, that'll drop down to even less, probably like 13, 15, because it's sort of when you're racing every weekend, if you want to be in shape, you can't be doing huge hours on the bike in between.
Yeah. What's the competition like being at home as opposed to being in the States?
I mean, they're definitely like 2 different levels. Like when I race here, I know that me and a couple other guys, you can almost go into every race and know it's going to be one of those 3, 4, 5 guys that are going to be the one that win. But when you go to when you're in the US, I mean, there's like 30 guys in a race that are all capable of winning it. And I mean, there's always the standout few. But yeah, it's like over there, especially because I'm not from the US, like I don't know all the names. But yeah, there's a lot of them.
So the competition is fair, so overseas.
Yeah,
Just
it is.
having the experience being out there has helped you where you are now.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, cycling is definitely one of those things where like you're sort of a product of your environment. Like if you if you're training constantly with guys that are stronger than you, you're gonna get stronger, you know, and like there's always people that you'll meet that will like be able to teach you things and all of that. So yeah, I mean
Now that you're back up and running, you said you got programs in place for the local side. As you know, the fall season is just upon us, and school is just around the corner. What's the aspects? Are you considering returning back to school, or are you going to sit out another a semester or 1 year?
I'm not gonna sit out the whole year, but I am taking off until January. It's just the whole COVID situation in the U.S. right now isn't well, it
Yeah,
isn't great. It's a very understate. It's a very big understatement. They're doing horribly with it right now. But yeah, when I was over there before, the reason I couldn't get back was because they closed the borders here.
Right.
They wouldn't let any flights in, and there is races like the Caribbean Championships and stuff like that that I'm gonna want to go to, and I mean things in the U.S. are still getting worse with COVID. Like they haven't started to take that downward trend yet, so I don't want to risk getting over there, going back to school, and then these events show up where I want to compete for my country, and I won't be able to get back.
Will you be doing it online or just taking the semester?
I'm just deferring the whole semester, so I'm not going to do online classes or anything. I'm just like gonna take a break.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes
I mean,
sense.
I can always go back.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's not.
It's COVID-19, right?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
it wasn't there, we all know that you'll be in school this semester. That's a given. Well,
Yeah,
fall
exactly.
semester. With that said, hopefully you can get your place on the national team and compete overseas representing Bermuda this fall, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely hoping like. Well, I mean, it seems like a lot of like over in Europe and stuff like that, they're also getting better in most places. So I mean, whether it was for racing or whether it was just for because I'm not going to be in school doing online classes or anything, I'm going to have a lot of free time.
Right.
So I mean, well, I'm gonna just stay working here, but the like if I get a chance to go over to Europe for a couple of weeks, just if they have racing going on over there or something like that, just get over there for a little bit, you know.
Yeah. What's been the talk like with your colleagues, local colleagues here? Once you return, have they talked to you and said, "Hey, I've seen you improve, I've seen you stronger, faster"?
You mean the other cyclists?
Yes, the other cyclists.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like when all of us are home from school, because right now, like the majority of the cyclists around my age, so there's me, there's Connor, there's Nicholas Narroway, there's Xander Miller. Three of us are away at school, so we never really get a ride together. But when we are all at home, we ride together all the time. You know, like we sort of feed off of each other's energy when it comes to the riding, and then obviously you have like Dominic Mayo and like everybody else that's always out riding, so we can like they've noticed. I think that like I was training hard when I was away, but now that I'm home, I want to sort of like get them out there as well because it's not just competing locally. You know, like when like here we're competitors, like we're against each other, but when we go overseas, we're teammates. You know, so I mean, the stronger we are as a unit, like even though the competition here is always going to be between each other, it's like when we go away onto that international stage, if we have a bunch of guys that are all really, really strong, it's only going to benefit us, you know.
Right. Now you stand the fight every fall.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Any final comments you'd like to add that I did not ask regarding cycling and for yourself?
No, you're good.
No? Good. I'm good. Okay. Well, I'm sure Bermuda will be looking out for you for the rest of the summer and into the fall, and I wish you all the best during in the fall season. Represent Bermuda. Hopefully, you get an opportunity to go overseas and, as you say, kick some butt.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming on Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Not a problem.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. On the phone for us right now is Mr. Dave Wolf, Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. And good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rollins. That's it. Today's a good day to you all.
All is well with you, sir?
Yeah, having a good day, man. I've learned to embrace Mondays, you know, and having a good day.
Yeah, you started off well on Monday morning at 6 o'clock. I'm sure you learned how to embrace it well. One thing I do want to talk to you about, Dave, is eating food in the month of August. It's hot. People usually lose their appetite. They drink more, and so there's more like ice creams, yogurts, and so forth. This comes in, that comes in place, replacing this, replacing that. A person like you who keeps on par and pass the information on to your clients, like to stay on par, things like that, how are you able to keep it focused and keep it on par in the month of August?
Well, I mean, obviously, the month of August, you're right, you know, it's extremely hot, very humid. Oftentimes, people do lose their appetite. So do I. You know, I try, you know, I always say the numbers game. So you try to get X amount of, you know, food on, you want to stay on your diet, but some days are better than others, right? So I focus on having more good days and bad days, but it's difficult because it's just so hot. You tend to do more smoothies and more protein shakes, like I said, you know, more frozen yogurts and stuff like that. But what I would encourage people is, like I always say, if you try to have more good days and bad days, then the good days tend to weigh out the bad ones, you know. But that's all we really can do, man. It is what it is. And depending on if a person's working outdoor, they might choose to drink more electrolytes, or more like, you know, Powerade, Gatorade, the non-drinks and stuff like that. So you might overdrink the fluids in there, therefore you're not going to want as much of the heavy fluids. And quite frankly, you don't want as much starch. So I get it, but I would just encourage those folks who are trying to get through the summer and get through August. It's a numbers game. So I have more good days and bad days. Still got to get their protein done. Still got to get those green veggies done. Still got to do their best to stay on the track, you know?
That's some good points there. So with that said, Dave, how are you able to put things together for your steady ready meals for the week? Again, during the month of August, it's not an easy task eating the greens, the cabbage and the asparagus and spinach, and people are like, wow, there's healthy stuff, but it's hot. I don't want to take it in right now. How are you able to pass that on?
Well, I mean, I think surprisingly enough, you know, I think people are, you know, are doing a pretty good job, and I say that because I'm really looking at the numbers. You know, obviously we have a meal prep business. Today is Monday. Monday is always one of our large volume days, I would say. You know, people tend to order for the week in some cases. So those people who are not working in the city might choose to get, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 meals on a Monday. Some may decide to put them in the fridge or freezer. Others, they share them amongst their family. But I've seen the numbers go up. So every Monday since we have resumed business, we've seen the numbers go up. So that tells me that we're on the right track, that people are sticking to the wicket and we're growing business. So I think, believe it or not, surprisingly enough, despite the heat, despite the weather, despite the global pandemic, people are still like, yo, I got to figure this thing out, man. I think we're all right. I think the vast majority are doing a good job, man.
Dave, what advice would you have for someone, being, you know, talking about the eating part, that lose their appetite in the middle of the day? What advice would you have for them for eating in the evening? Because a lot of people will probably that don't go to gyms, don't have no nutritionists and all that, would think, okay, well, let me have a big meal because I didn't have anything through the day. Is that a good idea?
Well, it's not as simple as that, although that's a good question. It really depends on the person's will. You know what I mean? Obviously, we have a belief that, you know, person needs to, it's not necessarily what time a person consumes their food, but it's what kind of food they're consuming. There's some things called macronutrients or macro, short for like the 3 main ones. You know what they are: protein, carbs, and fat. So as long as people are consuming at a decent time, so it's hard to say. It's nothing. I don't want to get on the air and say it's anything wrong with doing them and having a heavy meal, but it would depend on your goals. That might not be advisable for you. It might be advisable for the next person. It would depend also what you've done that day. I tend to to go the opposite way. I tend to start out with a heavier meal, more robust meal, and then as it gets later, I try and taper off because my theory has always been that my activity is a little bit less. I just don't want to feel, sort of heavy weights on as the evening progresses. But to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. I think what will really matter is what a person is doing that day in terms of activity and also what their goals are. There's no real right or wrong now, to be honest.
Yeah. Interesting enough, when people are out in this heat and they're losing their appetite, one of the things that they always talk about is, well, I messed up all day. I might as well have to jump now.
Good point. Yeah.
True. They tend to double down on it, right? They start tomorrow, which is very common. I've been guilty of that too. And I think that's a real thing. People who may get off track is like, yeah, I'm not hungry, but I'll have a bag of chips, or I'll have a chocolate bar, and that might be filling off. And to Ian's point, maybe have some ice cream, and that'll be it for dinner. But again, I'm not too concerned with that. We have those days where things can go as well. And I would just say, yeah, if you're gonna do that on a Monday, you got to be on track on Tuesday, because obviously, like I said, numbers don't lie. The more you do that, the more you continue to do that, they're going to be heading in the wrong direction, and that's not what you want. Least of all, obviously, the weight gain, but also in terms of just making you feel lethargic. One of the benefits of eating good food is people always assume that it's really just for aesthetics, which of course it is. But one of the reasons why I also prefer, because obviously I'm not a saint, I do stuff off food, is I recognize today, for example, it's 2 o'clock. If I didn't eat today we had some nice salmon, some bok choy, and some pumpkin leg. If I didn't have that, but I chose to go down to the shop and get a chocolate bar and chips, immediately when I finish that, I'm going to feel different. My rest of my afternoon, I'm going to feel a little bit sluggish, a little bit lethargic, a little bit heavy. So you know what I mean? So if the food you're eating is also, it's either fueling you or it's taking you out of the way. So I think that's important too, right? Obviously, the more you do that, the more you're gonna head in one direction.
When you come to hydrating, there's a lot of people out there now, first thing in the morning, out walking, running, getting a little bit of exercise. Through the night or the night before, how should they be hydrating to do that activity? Because it could be quite warm out there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm a big believer that you need to be drinking before you get thirsty. You know what I mean? So it chances are if you get thirsty during a walk or some type of activity, it's too late. You have the risk of dehydration. So to your point, yeah, you need to be drinking sufficient water. Now that's a gallon a day. You would say 2 gallons a day. Either way, you need to be drinking water, especially if you're going to be outside in the heat. You're going to zap your energy. You're going to get possibly some type of headache or even go for heat exhaustion or sunstroke. So right before, making sure you're getting these, not just water, maybe some type of electrolyte, some type of other substance down your body so you can fuel your body to work out. It's different. Like I'm a person, ironically, or coincidentally, I enjoy, going outside in the heat. I ride my bike as well. I go for a run at 2. But I also recognize right away, I feel different. That same 5K route, that same 4-mile route I would do, I get halfway in, I don't feel the same. I feel a little bit tired because your legs are not not as fluid, because what's happened is that the sun and the heat is draining me more. So to your point, even for someone like myself, I'm going to do that, but I need to make sure that I'm gassed up, so to speak, because if I be water or if there's some type of electrolyte, you need to be ready. Otherwise, you're going to suffer on both ends. You're going to suffer during the actual activity, and then more likely what happens to people is they actually kind of can make you work, or they can make you walk, but then they hit the wall after.
One thing that I have heard, Dave, and this is from various people I talked about, because they go to Fit for Life and they go to get your meals, is that they're glad that your meals are ready now for the month of August, because the challenge is prepping. And they say prepping is very hard in August due to the weather, the climate. It's hot. They put in the exercise, but again, the prepping that they would do on a Sunday, they're like, I don't feel like prepping. I'm a little tired. It's heat. I've been out all day, or I'm going out all day on a Sunday on the boat or so forth, or to a friend's house, whatever the case may be. And they're glad that you put this in place. With your meals in place, as you saying, the volumes have increased on Mondays. The volume sounds like it's increased in the month of August for you.
Definitely. It's interesting enough, Ian, that's how these meals start. I was just thinking today, just like running thing about, how the vision of these meals came to pass. And you're absolutely right. When I was prepping for, various competitions or, prepping for, to reach my individual goals, it was very, very different. And at one point, I was actually cooking meals for myself and a friend of mine. He was actually paying me, believe it or not, to prep his meals. And we were training together in the gym, and I would cook my meals and his meals. And it was extremely tedious. And I realized from doing this job, from being a trainer, and I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard people say same thing. It's very, and then you factor in, let's say, for example, work life. You got a couple of kids, you got a very demanding job, or you're doing schooling at night. It's very, very difficult to prep meals consistently. You might do it for a week, you might do it for 2 weeks, you might even do it for a month. Chances are you're not going to do it for 6 months. So that's where it came from, taking the ease out of it, maybe giving you a break on a Monday, giving you a break on a Wednesday. So to your point, I feel like when I thought about this business, I thought that it was the natural market was there. You just needed somebody to build it, and I really believe that people take advantage of it, and they're here.
And that's credit to you, because enough people are talking about it and they're telling me about it, and I've talked to a few people that go there every day, or they just put in a plan for a week, and without this, they said they wouldn't be where they are. And we have to understand the training and the nutrition, and it helps each other. You can put in the time in the gym, and if you ain't eating right, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
Like I always say it's like a marriage, right? Like a relationship. So I've had a few relationships. Some have worked, some have not. But you know what I mean. At the end of the day, you have a relationship, you have quality time. You're probably looking for a little romance. Let's say you're getting quality time romance. They're looking for a little bit of affection. You're getting quality time romance, affection. They want something else. So you have to constantly put it all in. So the same thing in exercise and fitness. You have to look at a comprehensive program, right? So if you're missing one key part in any relationship, it's not going to work out. So to Earl's point, yeah, hydration is important. Then we're going to talk about nutrition. Then we're going to talk about exercise. And then we have to talk about like therapy. We're talking about massage and sun wood and getting sufficient rest. So all of it plays a part. I've been around for a little while, and I've recognized that even sometimes that I need not to eat so well or not to work. I need to have like a what we call a refeed day, just to take a break. So all of it, I think, plays its part. And I think what we're always looking for in life and in sports is something that's sustainable, something you can do for a long time and you can maintain it. Yeah. So I think that's why it all works out.
Okay. Another good thing during the month of August that's challenging for clients or anyone is the type of programs. The programs that you're offering for the month of August, it's no easy task. They're hard, they're good, but they're very, very effective. How can you share some of the information to our listeners right now who maybe want to come up and say, look, I want to try Dave's class, one of his classes?
Well, I mean, what I try to do is I try to meet as many needs as possible. Obviously, no one person can do it all, but I have found a sort of little niche where at my gym we're able to kind of focus on various elements. So somebody's looking for, some strength training, we can do that. We're looking to do something a bit more robust about it. Full intensity, we offer that. Upper body, lower body, and just try to do it in a way where in the youth scheme, even though we have a very diverse group. So, we have black, we have white, we have young, we have old, we have male, female, local, expat. At the end, people kind of come in and they get what they're looking for. So it's important to try to also meet the needs of many people. So I think if someone's looking to kind of join a small little boutique gym, then by all means, there's still availability. They can find me, they can pick me out. And, I think it's something for everybody, You want to try to at least get to reach as many as you can.
Well done, well done. Well, look, Dave, hey, keep up the good work. You got some good programs in place. The Sunday programs, the morning, the afternoon, evening, and then the Fit for Life meal plan. You got it all going on, man.
Yeah, I want to open up a second one. We have to stay tuned for that. I'm working on another location, but that'll definitely come soon. I believe there's still a need, in the midst of all that's happening globally and locally. There's still opportunity for growth, right? So I'm working on another location. And why not? Let's go for it, man. We need to help people and, do the thing.
Well, sure. Let's make it happen, mate. You're the man. You're making it all happen for everyone. You're turning everybody's life around and transforming them into positive, mate. And that's what we need.
Turn my life around too, and it's helped me too. It helped me, So this is all we're all in together.
All right, sir. Well, keep up the good work, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yes, but have a good day,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you guys for your time.
All right.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work again. That was Dave Wolf, Fit for Life. As you know, he does meal prepping, and he shares it with everyone. You can go online and check him out on his Instagram or on his Facebook page. And of course, he has Fit for Life Gym, some awesome training classes, some great programs put in place. You want to go work out? You want to have a good sleep that night? But check Dave Wolf out. Trust me, you'll be sleeping well. You'll sleep a straight 8 hours.
Well,
I
I'm
guarantee
about 8
you.
hours, but I'm sleeping well.
All right, let's take a commercial break and be back after this. Welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. One thing about Fit for Life with Dave Wolf is that he tries to motivate and he gets great inspiration of trying to stay in shape all year round. There's some people that say, yeah, you could do it from this month to that month. Dave tries to do it all year round. It's like a life-changing thing. It's not just for 4 or 5 months. He puts it out there. And then he shares with you like meal planning and things like that and just inspires you to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it to the next level.
Yeah. Well, he says one of the most important things he talks about is he's available for what you want to get out of it. So if you want to get something and I want to get something, doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it at the same time.
No.
So there's something available for everyone all year round, and he makes himself available just for that.
Yeah. And it's amazing how he just has these programs already in place, right? I mean, yesterday's program was a 45 or 50-minute class, and you just go. It was just, I think it was 10 of us in the class, and we just went, 5 sets of 5. There's, I think, 8 different machines we had to use, or sets, I'm sorry, and 5 reps, and you just go, and you just like drenched, right? But I even cycle back to him, right? And I didn't go to sleep.
So you're actually getting better at it.
That's right.
And time management. Did you prep your meals?
I did that Saturday. Yeah, that's the honest truth. That's the honest truth, because the class that he had was at 10 o'clock, and he moved it to 8:15 because the other classes coming after that. But so what I did on Saturday, in the kitchen, prepping meals. I put cabbage together and some broccoli, some sweet potatoes and onions and salmon. That's my meals for the week.
Okay.
But I did it Saturday.
Right.
I found some time, put it aside, and said, this is what I need. And that's what I did, man.
Liverpool weren't playing.
That's what it was.
Well, I would have done it after the game. I would have done it after the game.
More time.
Or before the game. Right? I would have done it before or after. But the mere fact it was done. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And this goes back to what you're saying.
Right.
You have to prep the meal. Right? How would I have the energy to do that yesterday after workout, right? 8:15 in the morning. Better yet, leaving home at 7:35 to ride into town.
Right.
Workout, then ride back home. I've been tired as heck, man.
Right. Well, like you say, it's all about managing that time and finding the time. You find if you know usually meal prep takes you 3 hours, you have to find 3 hours in order to do it. And you have to, because it's for you, you have to make yourself available to do it. So no one else can do it,
No.
you know. So
I'm into this thing where like I even get a little crazy. Like I said, no, why don't they go to the store here if I chop up these vegetables and put them in the fridge? My mom said, "Hey, it's a little too early for that."
Right,
Wait to the next day.
right.
I'm trying to do it so I ain't got to spend so much time in the kitchen because
Right.
it's time consuming.
Yeah.
But then when you do it and you put it together, you're like, yeah, it tastes good. You know, you're like, okay, cool. And you know what's in it. You know,
Right.
I'm not a person that's into the gravy and dressings. And all
Right,
that, so
right.
just a little season here and there and a little olive oil.
Mhm.
That's me.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing one can do is do something that they like, they enjoy, and they're gonna get what they want out of it. I mean, in a sense, you're making something for you that you don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people used to do that in days going by or years going by when it came to healthy eating. Like some people say, I never liked lettuce, I never liked salad, I never liked this, I never liked that, but still made it because that's what they were told to have. When there's other foods you can have instead of that.
Why your point, you're spot on. Because I think back then, I think people were just eating because we knew or we were told that this is healthy food for you to eat.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't tell us back then, again, that's through science, that you can eat the lettuce with walnuts.
Right.
You can eat the lettuce with raisins and things of that sort, right? It's the amount, right? And that's how you share it. I'm not a person that's fussy on raisins myself, so I don't really need the raisins.
Right.
But someone may like that, right?
Yeah.
Like cranberry raisins in their salads and so forth. And that's what your point is so valid, that we were eating things back then because we were told it will work for you. And we really didn't like it. Right? I remember back in the 80s, this guy was telling me he eats salads with no dressing.
Right.
No dressing. So of course I tried it. Right? And I got used to it.
Right.
So I was fine.
Right.
But then when I went off and saw I had the dressing back again, I was like, oh, my dressing.
Right.
But now I don't. I'm back to I just really don't need it. It's
Right.
lemon or something. So
Right.
Olive oil, perhaps. No?
Exactly. That's what I do now, right?
Yeah.
Things of that sort. But I wasn't taught to me. I was eating the ranch.
Yeah.
You know, all the oil dressing and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like ooh.
On the salt.
Exactly.
But again, that's we were told you ate rabbit food to lose weight.
Right.
Or to get in shape. That you have a carrot and that's your snack for the entire day. You know, you cut it up and you just every once in a while when you feel like you got a bit hungry, you take 2 slices of the carrot and you eat them and move on.
With celery stick.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. But clearly now with the development of all the technology, and listening to guys that do the bodybuilding and people, the fitness trainers and all, you can still have meals in the portions of what are required, but you can still have your meal.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to eat everything in accordance to how things are developing, as opposed to having 3 pieces of chicken, fried chicken. You know what I mean? You take out the fried
8
part.
o'clock at night.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right.
So
people do that. You lay down.
And then what they did was eat the fried chicken with the skin.
yeah,
As opposed to taking it off.
right.
So,
But I mean, through science, we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's always the availability of speaking with professionals. I know a lot of people try to YouTube and all that to get information. And sometimes that's, the other major thing is you should also check your physician to make sure that what you're about to do is in the best interest of your health.
that's important.
Because some people say, well, I'm going to starve myself to lose the weight. Well,
That's not the way. No. Because as soon as you come off, just say you lose 25 pounds.
Right.
As soon as you come off from that starvation, you're going to put that on and more.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's always good to have a conversation with, some professionals, including your physician, to ensure.
No, and you guys are right. You guys are right about it. But I think what we do is also we get hooked into well, he or she lost 20 pounds, so I can go ahead and do it. Each person's body and mind is so different.
Yes.
It's just like how when we were kids, you know, this person came for second, I came fifth and sixth. Mind and body's different.
Yeah.
So you have to work on it. And so when you became fast or became a great long distance runner, it didn't come overnight.
No.
You worked on it.
No.
So it's the same thing as you're older and you're trying to get yourself back in shape. It takes time. It takes discipline. It takes the mental aspect of it, what you want to do, and what, like Dave said, what are your goals and what's best for you.
One thing that we all must do is listen to our bodies. You know, some people learn the hard way. I learned the hard way. You know what I mean? So you hear it, but you ignore it because I need to get this done. I need to, So no.
And as you get older, it's harder, right?
Well,
it takes more and more time to burn.
Right.
Fat.
Right.
You know, to get fit.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where you take the time out to prepare your meals. You got to take the time out to take care of yourself. And then if exercise is that, then that's that. Do it. Get it done.
You know what's in it. You know what's in your meals.
Yeah.
You know you don't have all that sodium. You know you don't have all that oil.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you just go ahead and then
let it go. Yeah. But it's time consuming, and it's nothing that is going to be overnight. You rather do the long term than an overnight, because you get something quick done in 3-4 months. 6 months later,
because if you're not consistent at it, then there lies the problem. It's just like when you're a professional athlete. If your season's in and you're doing all this work, and when the season's over, you sit down on the couch, and the new season comes around, it's going to be that much harder for you to get ready for that during that preseason, because you haven't done, you know, anything to stay in shape. So most professional athletes, they might take a week off, but they're right back into the gym. They might not be doing the abundance of work they're doing in preparation for the season, but they're keeping the body in some sort of shape. So when the preseason comes in, you're ready to rock and roll. You know, and that's what you have to look at.
Think about the times when we were growing up looking at football players or any other athlete during preseason, say the 70s and 80s, right? You're like, wow. All they said was, let's just go run. Let's just run. Right? Let's run 5 miles. Let's run 10 miles. Right? And then you work your way into it. Nowadays, which you pointed out, the athlete has a personal trainer, has a personal nutritionist, also has a chef. And that all adds up to positive. It costs, but it puts less strain on the mind, body, and soul to keep you in shape where you're on.
And a lot of times, a lot of people, when these athletes are sharing their stories, one of the most important things one must listen to is what they do in their downtime. See, a lot of people look at, we were talking about Instagram and Snapchat and all that there, and you might see an athlete in a picture. 9 times out of 10, that picture's at home. You know, with a few friends over, but off your feet. You know, talking, playing video game, or watching a movie or something. You know, there ain't too much of that nightlife like it used to be. You know, because athletes found out that if you want a long career, that nightlife stuff and that, you know, doing all the stuff that you've been told ain't gonna, you know, give you that longevity. That's out there doing now.
That's true.
These guys are making commitments to want to play long, want to play healthy.
Yeah, and injury free.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's take a commercial break. Let's do some music and we'll be back on the other side. Let's recap weekend sports.
Okay.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. What we didn't do earlier, Earl, was recapping the weekend in sports. How was it for you?
Yeah, because you was being smart, talking about your Liverpool and the fact that Manchester United didn't get the man. So, folks, I've got your picture for you. I just want you to know I've got your picture for you of Mr. Rollins celebrating that Manchester City didn't get the man. But
you're right. It wasn't Manchester City. It was Man United.
Well,
being so rude.
Manchester City, Manchester United is all the same Manchester.
Okay, so therefore I wasn't celebrating.
Yes, you was. Yes, you. No, I heard Manchester. Yeah. So I have a picture for you. Yeah.
Well, I know the truth.
Well, it was a very interesting weekend of sports. Yeah. Obviously, Saturday, Kamal Levrock got his second consecutive century in the 2020. It was 126 not out against St. George. Rain prevented him from getting even more or even getting out. They had 3 overs to go, but then Somerset restricted St. George to 150. Interesting match at Lord's yesterday between St. David's and Bailey's Bay. I'm sorry. Southampton Rangers and St. David's. Rangers were restricted to 112 in the 20 overs, and St. David's got 114 for 3, but with only 1 over to go. So they batted out 19 overs to get the required runs they needed. Rain affected both games at Whitehill. The first game, Western Stars and Somerset Bridge, that game started late due to a rain shower. And then the game between Bailey's Bay and Willowcott also started later because of the rain shower in between. But both matches were completed with Western Stars beating Somerset Bridge and Bailey's Bay beating Willowcott. There was the second race which we talked about when just prior to Caden Hopkins' interview. That was yesterday morning. There's a tennis tournament that started yesterday as well at the Fairmont Southampton. I want to say Craig Bean Memorial, I believe. That got underway. Well, I know Tony Machette's listening, so we're gonna have a big shout out to Jacon Ednis, who was
Liverpoolian.
Well, yeah. Well, he was walking around talking about his athlete because he took part in the tennis tournament. I'm not just a cricketer or an athlete, but he had 2 matches to play inside of a 2.5-hour period. After his first game, he was like, "Man, I'd rather play cricket." At least I know I could get a break. I could get a little water. I could get
So he lost the first set.
No. He won the division they're in. They play 1 set. So he won his first game. He won his first set. But then it was a kind of a funny matchup because he played his match and Trey Manders, who plays, was also playing. And if Trey won his match, then those two would face each other.
Oh dear.
So you know what happened. Jacon won his match. Trey won his match.
Okay.
And then those two locked horns. And I told Jacon I was going to if he lost, Jacon, boy, I tell you, Trey's the one in the family with tennis other than Gavin. So, and Trey won.
I haven't heard anything from him. No wonder he's quiet.
Oh yeah.
He's quiet.
Yeah. Well, took his bat and ball and hood.
And don't want to play with the neighborhood anymore.
Hey, not his racket. He took his bat and ball and hood.
Wow. We'll have to invite him on the show one day.
Oh, he ain't coming for that.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's put it like this. What your Liverpool saying? You never walk alone.
Never walk alone.
Well, he walked alone, got on his bike, and left.
Oh my God! Wow, Jacon, you gonna do a rebuttal? Yeah, it was next week Monday.
Sir, too many people saw it.
Oh, it's a fact.
Oh yeah. Too many people saw it. Yeah.
Mercy.
Yeah. See, when you want to talk big, first win, then talk. You don't come out and talk, oh, I'm going to beat up on Trey. If I get past this boy, I'm going to beat up on Trey. And I'm going to show him who's the real Mendes boss. And, oh, yeah.
And Trey took care of him.
And then I play cricket.
Ooh, and
But they lost.
And Jacob Benham, though.
Oh, yeah. Took his bed ball, man.
Oh, mercy. Yikes. I want to give him a call.
Call him up. He might not answer. He probably, after this, it's probably screening calls now.
Oh, screening. Oh, mercy. Oh, Lord.
My call is up right now.
But no. That phone will not ring, and it won't. If it does ring, it won't be Jacon.
Okay.
Let's put it like that. It will not be Jacon. Yeah, trust me.
Could be his mother-in-law to his defense.
Well, you know what? The results are there.
Oh, the results are there.
The results are in.
And it's a fact.
It's a fact. Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You know.
Jacon, if you're listening, get him to next week Monday. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, he better play Trey in between that and redeem himself. But the problem is, it's gonna be done in front of the same people who watched him. Yeah. And you walk on the, you walk on the court, you're playing a different game.
It's not cricket.
No, sir. You ain't cover driving, you ain't hooking and pulling. You're trying
driving.
to get the ball back over the net.
From, what is it, box to box, right?
Oh, yeah. But one thing's for sure, he watches a lot of television because he had all the grunting going on.
Was that grunting all the time?
Oh, well, maybe. And again, you can't call timeout in the middle of the game to go have water. That's for the changeovers. So, you gotta help him out, help the brother out.
He called a timeout?
Yeah. Him and while they were playing, they said, look, let's take a timeout, let's have some water, and then come back.
I can't even defend you, Jacon. I can't even defend you.
Take your minute or 2 minutes in the changeover, sit down, have some water in the shade, and you'll be all right. Now I gotta keep going, I'm running hot. Okay. Time out.
Remember Indian Stasi?
Yeah.
That's who you reminds me. You're a bullet, right?
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, thanks for tuning in today on Inside Sports Talk Radio. We'll have another edition next week on the 17th. August. What's up with this, man? August. Well, Jacon must be rubbing off on me, ain't it? Must be tired, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens if back on the North American side regarding sports. What's happening? The big story will be college football this week. If there's going to be college football this fall, then if it's not, NFL already talking about having Saturday night football in the NFL with the various networks, which are NBC, CBS, ESPN, and Fox. So it'll be very interesting. See what happens from there, right?
We'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. Thanks again, and we'll be back on next week. Don Bassett, enjoy your week, bro.
Thanks for you as well.
I'll do my best, and I'll see you guys on the street with me.
All right.
See you on your bike.
There you go.